So, mate, first ever overseas podcast. Not that it makes a difference to the listener, man. It's just the exact same every single time, man. This isn't your podcast debut, is it?
No, this is my fourth one, so I'm becoming slightly a bit of a pro at the podcast. You know?
I know, I was just scaring you with my 207, man.
No, I was like, how many podcasts you do? 240. I was like, this is my fourth. So,
mate, it's weird. Like I still get like nerves. Like I don't think that ever goes away. Even when I was talking about this before, even when I pull out my camera on stories and I chat on stories, sometimes I'm still like, what would I do? Like there's hesitation there. Like I don't think stuff like that ever goes away.
I don't think so either. Like you could be doing it week in, week out. Like I only said to you before we got started, you're very good on camera. I even seen it at pool, and they're just like very, very calm, relaxed, like easy to watch. And then there's you, where the viewers probably don't see this, that like you feel a little bit nervous. And it's probably nice to articulate that to everybody else, because it's okay to feel that way, you know, feel that way, but do it anyways. That would be the important part, you know.
I've always found it hard though, man. Like I like long form content. Like see, like doing podcasts, YouTubes, like where I can actually, I feel like I've never been able to get that like short form sort of get myself across, because I feel it's a fucking egg timer, like counting down when I'm like, literally. And I need to say this and I need to say that, and I'm just like
you have so much to say. That's what it is. I'm pretty similar to you. It's like you're trying to create reels, and like you said, you're trying to get all your points across, but like you have so much more to say outside of it. So the fact that you have a podcast is brilliant, mate, because people that like what you do can come and see this type of form from you, you know. I
always heard of one of my mates, Chris, that was my mentor, was like, can people binge you?
Can they what?
Can they binge? Like binge you?
Bench you?
No, binge. Like
a binge.
That's
this
Scottish
is
and Irish.
Scottish, Irish.
Yeah. We were talking about before how we can't even understand, like we can't roll their R's and stuff, but there's no R's in that. But like, can someone come and just like binge your content? Can they just spend like, because have you done that before? You were talking about this before.
Absolutely.
We said people like, can just come and consume everything you say? Like I used to, like, I remember when I came across like certain figures in like the fitness space, and I was like, I love this guy. I need to learn everything. Everything that they do, like how they live, how they think, how they train. Right, I'm going to go and watch them. And like, I think that's a cool thing to be able to do.
100%. And you'd be so surprised at the amount of people that are interested in watching what you do, not just from your coaching or your training, but just your own personal life. You're saying that you moved all your stuff from back at home, sold it all. How many people have that type of dream that like, I'm going to pack up all my shit and get out of here? And then you're that guy doing it, you know. So it's like he's doing this and now he's doing that. So it's just like we don't give ourselves enough credit for taking these risks, doing these things, and then more importantly expressing it, showing it to the world, you know. So it's just like I completely get that concept where like people want to go binge and see what he's doing because he's doing something different. Like you're going to Bali now, you're here in Dubai right now, you're going to Bali this Saturday. Stuff people dream of, brother, you know.
It's strange because like the thing I've been talking about, and I spoke to you about it, I've been speaking about it in my socials and stuff as well, is that like when you go through this kind of change, it is great, like, and it's good, but like I've felt a bit lost over the last week. And did you experience that when you first came out to
Dubai? 100%. You know, it's a very fast-paced city, people doing monumental things, and I think it's just one of the most important things about when you come to Dubai is just like get rid of the comparison, like, you know, because I said this on a podcast I was on before, like if you're comparing yourself to people in Dubai, you'll be miserable while you're here. Miserable. And just like stay in your own lane, see what you have to do, and then you can, like, I'm sure you have a guy on metrics and tracking stuff that's going on with you. Am I doing better than before, and so forth. But when you get here, can be a little bit intimidating, but the most important part I think is like me and you met organically at the pool, and you know me, I'm a bit of a spiritual freak. I think that like energies attract. We didn't sit at the pool at the same time beside each other on the same day and start speaking for no reason. I think that happened for a reason, and then like we're very similar, do the same things. Whether if you can get a network of people over here and they're good people, your experience in Dubai can just be so amazing for growth, for friendship, for networking, for everything, you know.
I think we spoke about this before, but like experiences are everything to me, man. Like even selling my house, man, like, and like didn't sell it, it's rented out now, no one's in it yet, so heating's still on, man. It's freezing at the moment, so hopefully I'll have someone in it soon. But like I had like a bit of an outer body experience doing that, because it was almost like realizing that like there's going to come a point where someone's clearing out my house doing that, like when I'm older, when I pass away, and it was like I'm kind of doing this for my hypothetical future self right now. Someone's going to be doing this for me, and it made me realize that like I don't really have a lot of value in like materialism, and see what you said there about the comparison thing. My comparison is like different, even from like a training standpoint. Like someone asked me and Ailey recently, like, when was your bro phase? And I was like, I didn't really have a bro phase. Like Ailey had more of a bro phase, see, in the gym.
Yeah.
Like, and it's strange. Like, so see a lot of the typical fitness comparisons of like physique and different things. Of course, like I'll look at folk and I'm like, I'm envious, or like I'm inspired or whatever, right? But like I've never had it that much. Even coming to Dubai, like I think what I've really felt being out here is that like, well, I'm a little fish. Like, and I wanted to feel like that, and it's like I've not really even felt like I've seen the folk driving about in the supercars and I'm like, that's pretty amazing, man. But like,
don't care.
I don't really care.
Yeah,
like, I don't really like. It's
100%.
like I don't really care. Like, and it's not even in a way that like I'm being negative about it, but like, I genuinely don't. And to some people, they may be like, oh, I pure care about that, because I've never been someone that's been very, very focused on that. It is something that's, me and you spoke about this yesterday at the pool, and it was like, it sounds like we don't do any work. And we were chatting about like basically, what was I've just lost my chain of thought right there.
About materialism and how it doesn't inspire you to do better things, essentially.
Yeah. And but like, I'm not one of these folk that says I don't care, because I do care about it. Because I think if you don't care about it, then it's like, see, when someone's like, I don't care about money, or I don't care about how I look, or I don't care about my fitness the way that like other people do, and it's like, it's not that it's a bad thing to not care. It's like, but you should care. Like
100%.
Yeah.
Like a great book I read, you probably read it. It's The Supple Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
Yeah.
And essentially, just to round the whole book up in one go, is what you're speaking about right now, and that is, you just have to give a fuck of what you give a fuck about, you know, and then everything else you have, excuse my language, not give a fuck about it. You don't care about materialism things, but you do care about having experiences, making memories. And I'm in, honestly, the very, very same boat as you. Of course I do like nice things. I think as human beings we all do, but the older you get, you realise they don't make you happy. It's moments in time with people that you love that you can look back on. Even what you were speaking about a second ago, I think about this a lot. I call it deathbed thinking.
Yeah.
Like, what am I going to think about on my deathbed? Am I going to think about the nice car and the house and everything else, or am I going to think about, Jesus, I got to live in Dubai or Bali, or done all these things and spent money on things that I call feeding your soul? That's what I think about so much. Just particularly, I must be going into the old age, but it's just so important that I create these memories and have no regret, and then I spend money on the things that, again, fulfill me, you know?
Yeah. How did you so you mentioned there previously about when you came over from Ireland, so you're originally from Dublin, yeah?
Yeah.
And I know what the like UK and Ireland, I'm not going to say UK because I know that pure offence folk when it's like, because it's not the fucking UK. Like,
Yeah.
But UK and Ireland, very similar place, similar mindsets, especially the Irish and the Scottish.
Agreed.
Money mindset, like success, like the narrative, I call it, like how you're meant to live your life, the story, the things that you're meant to do, stability, pension, all that stuff. And I'm not saying like this, like I want stability, I want all this stuff as well, right? What were some of the beliefs that you had coming over from a sort of working class background in Ireland, starting to see success in your business, then you moved over to Dubai? Like, what was the beliefs that you experienced, or did you have anything like that at all? Were they start on their way out? Everyone's got limiting beliefs, don't they?
Of course. So when I finally made the move, I got my business to a point where I had a decent amount of clients. I was working like full time as like a PE teacher in Ireland, and I was just like, got to a point I was like, I'm going for it. But in my mind, I was just like, I'm gonna give it a year, but I'm gonna give it everything, type of thing, you know. And it's crazy what you can achieve. And I said to myself, I made a post about it, I was like, I'm all in on plan A, there is no plan B. Because I came from a situation in Dublin where there was a homeless crisis, had an apartment there, and if I knew if I left that apartment and I go to Dubai and it doesn't work out, I'm going back to my mother's house, and I almost have no choice. You know, so that was gone. Obviously left my job, my family, my friends. I was like you've probably heard the term, I burned the ships. It's like, I'm out, I'm going for it. Scariest thing probably I've ever done, because I went through a few emotional things in that point before I left. My grandfather passed away, and I was essentially raised by my grandfather and grandmother and my mother, but they were like parents to me. So passed away just before I left. My dog, he's still on the front of my phone. No one understands how much, when that dog had to go, how many months I cried, and it was just before I left too. So I was waking up each morning before I was heading to Dubai, like grandfather passed away, dog had to get put down, leave my family, my friends, leaving my full-time job, all these things. And I was waking up every morning with like anxiety, just thinking, oh, just stay here. Yeah, things are okay here in Dublin, that you can have like your business is doing okay, you have a secure job. It's just stay here. But it's just that like intuition was always screaming and speaking to me. I swear, bro, like every morning, just saying, you have to go. This is for you, essentially, you know. And I was just like, I remember the day where I contacted my boss. I said, hey, listen, basically I didn't say it like this, but I'm out. I'm gone. On the same day, I rang the agent. I was like, I'm out. And I was like, I'm in now. There's no going back. And I remember I have goosebumps thinking about it, because I'm just thinking, fuck man, how scary was that? Now here we are, 2 years, 3 months later. Best thing I've ever done. But putting myself in that position of coming here, you're here a couple of weeks now, and there's like so afraid, seeing all these other coaches doing other things, whatever else, and I was just like, excuse my French, fuck everybody else. I'm just going to concentrate on me. I'm going to go all in on this and see where it brings me. Here we are 2.5 years later, after being able to buy my first property here in Dubai. I never even thought, like, congratulations to you, you have one in Scotland. I never even thought I'd be able to buy a property in Dublin, like, ever. I thought, like, that's just not for me, you know. So it's like, it's amazing what could happen for your life when you back yourself and don't give yourself all these plan Bs, and having one half foot in something and then like, yeah, a little bit in this one. I honestly had the mentality, I'm all in on this, and let's just see where it goes, you know.
Yeah, I mean, incredible, by the way. Like, well done. Like, it's good when you hear folk that are just like getting after it, doing it, living it. And I always say to our guys in the program is that like frustration is the biggest teacher, because folk will be like, I'm frustrated about this, or they're at this point in life where they're not happy, they're not seeing the progress they want to see. Me and you were even chatting about this at the pool. It's like, and you have to respect, and the unsexy answer when it comes to progress and whatever it is you do is that you need to sit in pain sometimes. Like, you need to sit in the thing to then have the obvious revelation of what you need to do. And like you said right there, it was like this point where you're justifying it, you're sitting in that pain, and then when the pain of changing outweighs the pain of staying the same, you then go, I need to go for this, man. And I think as you get older, you then start to realize that like time is like, it's finite, it's not infinite.
Big time.
And you start going like, well, like I just turned 31 there, and I remember my 21st like it was yesterday. That's 10 years. And I'm like, 10 years, and all 10 years is going to go even faster, because my concept of time has got shorter and faster. So my awareness of it, that's probably going to go like 10-20% faster than what that last one went. And I'm not going to have all the same sort of learnings and new exposure that I'm in my prime right now. If I'm going to do this, I need to do it now. Because if I don't do it now, I'm not going to do it. Like, and it's, folks sometimes when they're in that frustration, they start pivoting and turning, and it's like, stay in it, sit in the pain, man, because like it will teach you. And it's just like, it's so applicable to so much, like lack of progress, lack of results, like stagnation. It's like, just keep doing it, keep focusing on it, and you will figure it out.
It's always going to be our biggest teacher, right? Like, it's just like frustration, failure, wanting to give up. Like, I'm going to say I made this up myself because I feel like I did, and I read so many books, but like, it's like the true meaning of self-growth is seeing yourself going through life's hardships and then like persevering through them.
Yeah,
that's what growth is. Like, we learn the most about our heartbreak, our pain, our frustrations. Like, that's winning, you don't really learn too much about, you know. No. It's great, it is great winning, it's a good feeling, but that's not where you see parts of yourself you've never seen before. That's for me is the only way. And if you can start to adapt that mindset into your life of like, I'm going through this shit right now, this is hard, this is shit, but subconsciously or even consciously saying to yourself that this is good, this is going to teach me, this is not a blessing right now, but it's definitely a lesson. Yeah. You know, it took me a lot of years to get to that point of no victimhood, no why me, like what can I get out of this? And then when you can reverse engineer and look back a little bit at yourself, I'm like, hold on a second, I went through this shit, I was hurt, I was crying, I was in pain, or whatever I was, and I see myself get through it, because you have to look back. So then you build as you go. I'm like, okay, I'm going through more shit now, because life's gonna fuck shit at you, right? No matter what. But you get ready to like, I got through that. I'm getting through this. You know.
It's funny. Like, so I told you about like what happened with us coming out here, establishing things out here, setting up, and then the bit of it we planned it all so that we would be here, Hong Kong, to compete in High Rocks, and then we were going to go to Bali. And then long story short, it didn't go to plan. There was a bit of a mess up, and we'll take responsibility. There was a form that never got completed, but that wasn't the full reason the full thing got held up, really, man. Do you know what I mean? If that was going to happen inevitably anyway. But it's funny when you go through this sort of mindset of like personal responsibility and always looking to learn, because even when I had, is it validity, if that's the word, like actual reason to be a victim, right? When I had to pay like an extra £3,000 for an extra accommodation, extend a visa, move my flights that I couldn't get refunded. I had to pay for new ones, which was £1,100. Like, that was like £3,000. Like I didn't have, and it was like I had to just like go and pay it. And I was so annoyed then. All the training that we had to go for High Rocks, we peaked. That was going to be our opportunity to basically qualify for World Champs. And I actually was like sitting there and I went like I was so angry. Because the woman was like so unhelpful. And that's how long it lasted, mate. Because see, after that, mate, I wanted to sulk. I wanted to be annoyed. But see, because when you get so used to ploughing through, even when I had absolute validity to be so angry, I couldn't be angry because I was like, this is doing nothing.
Yeah,
and it was serve you. And it was a really weird feeling because it was like, right, because like all this sort of stuff is so subtle now. Like if something annoying happens, and I can just snap. Like I still get annoyed, I still get grumpy, I still get upset, but I can snap out of it. But this was one that was like, no, this is like level 10 frustration, like huge annoyance, massive inconvenience. Feeling my life is like unstable because this company aren't even giving me any answers right now. I've put a lot into this High Rocks. I've committed. It was almost like, right, all of your like sort of things that you value have been compromised here. This is crap. But then it was like, it lasted for like an hour. Ailey was really upset. Like I was so raging. I was just angry. I was so annoyed at it. And I never really get that angry, but I was actually like, this is outrageous that nobody cares. And I was like, why should they care? Like, why am I looking for them to care? Like, why am I like...
And how would that change
anything? How would that change anything? Do you know what I mean? So it was something that, like, after practicing this so much, when I actually got like a proper... Because I'm not saying I don't get challenges, but like, this was like a proper challenge. Like, one of the ones like, you know, when a client tells you like, this happened and this happened, you're like, this is pretty crap, man, that's happened here. But this was like one of these ones that was like, yeah, this is rubbish.
Yeah. I look at stuff like this. This is my spiritual side coming out again. So... it's like all these things got cancelled on you, it wasn't going your way, and you could have easily jumped ship on a lot of things. Like I think you said you're going to Germany now, am I right?
Yeah.
Instead though. So I have this concept that I use all the time. It's like the universe is testing you to show you how bad you truly want it, to set your business up here, to actually compete and get into world champs. It's like, okay, you really want it, do you? Is that right? Okay, we're gonna fuck up your administration we're going to fuck up your administration for your business. We're going to cancel your China trip. You can't go there now. Show me that you still want it.
Yeah.
Show me. Is that right, is it? If other people may have given up, you don't want it, because if you did want it, you'd be doing it. And look at yourself right now. You've had to book in Germany. You had to pay extra money to stay here. I want this.
Yeah.
That's self-proof that I am who I say I am, and I'll get what I want by putting... no matter what gets shown on my way, it's getting done.
Yeah.
You know, so I love that concept of like, okay, I'm getting tested right now. I'll prove that I want this, you know?
Yeah, it's a really good perspective, because it was funny, like last week actually, I was speaking to my coach John yesterday in a call with me and Ailey gets coached by him as well, and we're both just chatting to him, and I was like, I legit went like to Ailey last week, I might just go full blown into like strength training and fucking marathon running, go full. And then I was like, just jack this full High Rocks thing. Because I was just so like, because what actually ended up happening, mate, and the blessing in disguise is that I got a little bit ill as well off the back end of High Rocks. Like everyone I've done this year, like I've done like 4 this year. I've got like sick around the same time about it. They are like pure cesspits, man, for like illness. Like you're doing, like putting yourself through like a arduous day. There's like sweat everywhere. Everyone's touching everything. Like it is like I call it the High Rocks flu, because loads of folk get it after it. And basically I get that, and then obviously that full thing happened with like obviously finding out about it, which also put me down, but I still kept turning up, man. There was a part of me that was like, right, you don't even need to be doing these double days right now, man. Like, just reduce the volume. And I was like, no, it's the principle. Like, you need to keep doing them. So I followed the plan, kept going. But because I'd like deloaded, came down, got ill, I have lost a bit of fitness. And it's just like when you're trying to chase peak performance, like you can't be peak state all the time. So I came down. And last week when we travelled out here, that would have been the week that we flew out to Dubai, and the jet lag and the stress of moving really affected us. And last week, mate, I could barely run properly. And I was like, this would have been us at Hong Kong. We would have been going to Hong Kong and been like not in a good state for competing, and we wouldn't have got the position or time that we would have wanted. And I was like, it's meant to happen, man.
Bro, everything happens exactly the way it's supposed to be happening.
Yeah.
I truly believe that. I'm the type of guy that doesn't even believe in coincidences. I think that everything's connected. Everything is happening in the flow state of the way it's supposed to be happening, even though it might not feel like it. Like again, that you said that your stuff got cancelled, like you couldn't go to China and all. And then it's like the concept I said only like 5 minutes ago. I was like, you're only able to look back after going through it, that like, oh, that made sense now.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It made sense now. But it's so hard. Like, I'm not gonna say unfortunately, like, but it's very hard to be emotionally intelligent.
Yeah.
It takes an incredible amount of work to get to a point that you are in somewhat of control of your emotions when they come in. To be able to sit back and just go, hold on a second here. I feel this way. That's okay. It's okay to feel this way. But I says, let's just give it an extra couple of minutes and adjust and reevaluate what's going on, you know, rather than like how many, and a good way of kind of seeing how far you've come with your emotional intelligence is that you have to catch yourself when you react. Do you know what I mean? Like it was like, if you bite at somebody or them people that were not being very helpful for you, you could just start cursing at them, screaming at them. But like, how is that being emotionally intelligent? How is that situation helping your situation? And I think it's okay for that to happen, okay? Because like, right, I reacted this way, but then evaluating us, why did I act that way? How did that serve me? How did that serve anybody else? Do you know what I mean? It comes such a long way, and that's what I find that my life has gone in such better direction since I started doing all that work on myself to be aware of me, because I can't be in control of anybody else, you know?
It's funny when you go through that journey, because I've went through a similar journey with like anyone going through personal development, whatever you want to call it, label it. You go through this point where you start gaining this self-awareness of reading books, being like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. But then when you're in the thick of it and you're actually trying to apply it, you're like, whoa, I am not good at applying this. Like, this is like total. And then what happens over time is it compounds and compounds and compounds. And it's not until like a big event like I had the week with that happening that I'm like, oh, this is actually like good now that I'm able to do this. Because it's hard. Like, it's a tough thing to do.
You'll only ever know when you're being tested. So it's the only way to figure it out. So like, we're gym guys, right? And we like being in good shape, we like being fitter. So we can track our metrics of getting fitter. We can track our metrics of getting in better shape. We can physically see it. But the emotional stuff we cannot see. The self-growth is invisible. You cannot see. And you don't know how far you come until you get put into a situation and it tests you. You know, whether it's a rude person or a relationship or whatever, you can say, I've done all this self-work on myself, read books, done therapy, done all this stuff. But the real work starts is when it's put into the physical plane. You know, like even in the concept of a relationship, you could be like, I'm after doing all this work on myself, I'm ready for someone and so forth. But you meet someone then, it's very different because your emotions are involved, someone else is involved. It's like, okay, let's see how far you come then. And then you kind of catch yourself saying, Jesus, I still have a little bit more to do, you know? But if you're able to be in a space where you're like seeing that, okay, I need to work more on this, you know, it's interesting, you know? I
remember when I started like coming across different podcasts and reading different books, and I was like, the regular question or words to this effect would come up, be like, about knowing yourself. I'd be like, I know myself. And then as I started, this was like my early 20s, like when I started like diving more into podcasts and stuff, and I was like, now I'm like, how arrogant is it to actually think that you know yourself when you've never actually tried to know yourself? Like, how arrogant is it to even say that? To see if I say to someone, do you know yourself? They're like, yeah, dead certain. It's like, do you? Because a lot of folk don't. They don't, because they're very reactive. They're up and down like a yo-yo. See, if you were very reactive, you're always struggling with like everyone goes through bouts of challenges with mental health and stuff, right? But you're up and down like a yo-yo. You're like several different versions of yourself in the day, like reactive to situations, like you get angry, you wear your heart on your sleeve, like you don't know yourself because you can't regulate that stuff. And someone that can regulate that and someone that has got a good grasp on that is someone that knows themselves. And it's like when folk are like, yeah, I know myself, and I'm like, no, you don't. You don't know yourself.
I truly believe you spend your whole life figuring yourself out.
Yeah, you do.
I don't even think you'll get to 50 and you fully have it. So that's why you're trying to, people that are in the space of trying to figure everyone else out. I was like, you just need to figure yourself out. And it takes a long time, just like we're talking about like self-development, or it's like the term know thyself. Like, it's just like you put so perfectly there about like being reactive or being certain ways. You're not that way for no reason, you know. It's like usually I won't get too deep into this, but like childhood traumas or how you are brought up or whatever, you're hardwired a certain way. And trying to figure that out and trying to change that is the first step of trying to, again, figure yourself out, you know?
Yeah, I think it's funny because I actually spoke about this in Monday's call, because I'm always sharing to a client, it's like stuff that's happened with us, like just genuinely what I'm going through and what I'm just figuring the stuff out. And I was saying about like this feeling of being lost, and you have this moment where one minute you're like, I'm on top of the world here, man, like I'm on point, like I'm doing all the right things, and within like a day you can be sat there going, what am I doing? Like, who am I? Like, and that's like, see, the last week, I just sat going like that, like just going, what am I doing? Like,
I get it. Chris Williamson put it perfectly. It's like everyone looks from the outside in, sees Instagram, seeing people doing well or whatever. I was like, they must have it all figured out. And even the top entrepreneurs, the top successful people, whatever, like they don't even know what they're doing. Like even me, as his term is falling forward through life.
Yeah.
I'm just figuring it out as I go along. Like I think even people, like I get messages from people at home and think like, you must have that plan and this plan. Yes, I have goals and stuff, but like just figuring it out one day at a time. And that's the God honest truth. The one special characteristic I think I have, and it'd be very similar, Kristian, is that I show up every day.
Yeah.
Every day. There's no in between. There's
your actions are what define you, though.
It's every day.
That's it. Your actions are the thing that keep you strong.
But they're the things that people don't realise that compound over time. You think nothing's happening, but it's just the little incremental things that happen day by day by day by day, and you just don't allow yourself to not show up. And then all of a sudden then you're further down the road, and like we're talking the mountain concept, you're a lot further up that mountain than you think, without having to do so many big things realistically, you know?
Yeah, 100%. So you mentioned before about teaching, because I've got some questions and I'm pure like we're just talking about all sorts here. It's good though, because the way I framed this is like breaking the norm, because we're trying to break the norm here, and it's like, because as you're built up, like brought up, especially UK and Ireland, man, where that is like a total mindset that is like, this is what you do this, you don't do that, and it's like installed in you. And then when it comes to doing anything that you want to do, you become so scared to take action that you've got such a scarcity mindset that everything that you do becomes like the fear. Like you're just thinking about the worst possible outcome, and that takes a long time to rewire that, especially when you've done that. So like, what was, like, you mentioned about like the coming out here, like obviously the big shift, the aha moment of that was some of the questions I actually was going to have, where you went, I'm going to go all in this. Like, what do you see a lot of people that you coach, like you're obviously coaching a lot, you said like 80% of your clients are in Ireland, like what's the sort of scarcity right now that's holding a lot of people back, that you believe, like from achieving results, progress, success in their life, that's keeping them the same? What's a lot of the scarcity you see that's common?
I think a lot of it can be like self-belief, you know, like a part of what you're saying, that like now when we grow up in the UK or Scotland and Ireland, that like it's a rat race, right? You have to molding people into doing these, just, I wouldn't say regular things, but just get a job, get a house, like don't do anything that you actually want to do type of thing. But in a coaching aspect, it's the same, that like it's just with the food side of things, there's no education around eating right foods or like exercising regularly and whatever, and it compounds, like everything compounds, and you end up getting to a place where you get like very out of shape, and then your confidence is gone and so forth. So the answer to the question for me is like your self-belief is really plummeting all of the time, that I'm not able to do this, you know. And that's why one of the most beneficial, like you spoke about your coach 3 or 4 times there, I get a coach when I'm going into a prep every single time. We have all the knowledge, am I right, bro? We coach so many people, but having someone there to look at everything for you, because I always look at coaching like this. If you do this by yourself, okay, which you're probably very capable of doing right now, you, me, right, because we're fitness professionals, but like the average person that's not in our game, when you're coaching yourself out, looking after your own training, nutrition, whatever, you are doing this emotionally all of the time. Okay, but us as coaches, we look at things objectively, very different. So I can coach you, Kristian, and I can be looking at it from the outside in. You don't have to think, look after your business, look after your girlfriend, do all the things that you need to do. I'm going to look after your steps, your training, nutrition, and as the weeks go by, I'll evaluate off the process of me looking at your data and your physique. Whether when you're doing that by yourself, because I've coached myself many times, I'm like, I'm not lean enough, I'm dropping my calories down to this, I'm pushing my cardio up to that. burnout, and then most like people, if you haven't got discipline, you'll just crash and burn, and you don't ever get to where you want to get to, you know. So I think it's just like the self-belief is a big thing, but it's just, this is not a plug, by the way, but getting a coach, a good coach, is life-changing in every way, shape and form, you know.
Yeah, as you need, a question I've been saying to people on discovery calls recently is, like, when we're just chatting, I'm like, do you have a proper positive influence in your life, a person in your life that is like way better than you, not in like a condescending way, but like that makes you go, that puts a fire in my belly to be better. And I'm not talking about your partner, I'm not talking about your parents, like people that you just love that go, oh, they want the best for me. I'm talking about, have you got someone in your life that makes you go like, whoa, I need to step up, man. Like I'm leaving money on the table here, man. Like I'm leaving a lot on the table. And for a lot of people, they don't have that in their life. And most people that you have around you are either doing the same as you or less than you. And then what happens is you never strive to break beyond that. And it takes a very, like you said there, like you can build a lot of self-drive, motivation by doing a lot of the things, compounding over time. And you can become like a relentless motherfucker where you can just be like exceptional. But the thing that's always going to break you to the next level is meeting that person or people or group, whatever that is, that makes you go, I'm this size. That's what you need. You need that person in your life that makes you go, I'm not playing the game as hard as I think I am, and I need to play the game harder. And a lot of people, when they'll come in, I don't know if you've experienced this, having a large pool of clients, and we've experienced it before, but I just reframe it. It's where people are like, they'll see other people doing well, and it like threatens them. It makes them feel insecure. And I'm like, that's just a mindset thing. That's just an outlook that you need to work on and you need to change. And a lot of people will be in times like that. It's like, folk will try and groom it, and they'll try and be like, oh, well, you don't need to do this, you don't need to do that. It's like, no, fuck this. You need to change that. Like that's something that's keeping you the same. Because every time you put yourself out there, it's your ego protecting you from what you know you need to do. And that's the thing that's keeping you where you're at right now. And you need to work on that. But like, that's one that I definitely see with people as well, where they come in and it's like, because it is quite overwhelming, and I get that's a big amount of change, but you just need to look at it differently, man, because
my favourite quote of all time, when you change the way you look at things, the things that you look at change. Yeah. You know, I'm a quote affirmation lover. Same. I always say the power of the spoken word or the power of the written word. You can just say something here in this podcast today, and you've no idea how much you mightn't even trying to sound poetic or smart, but how it can just resonate with you and stick with you and make you pivot in a completely different direction, you know. But no, I fully agree for sure.
Yeah, we were talking about it this morning at breakfast, both myself and Alien. I just keep saying things, like I keep checking in with myself, and I just like, I'm enjoying sitting on my balcony every morning, have a coffee, have 3 Madura dates. It's my pre-workout. I didn't do it this morning because I didn't train this morning. I'm going to train later. And I've just been enjoying it. I'm just checking it with myself, man, making sure that I'm like just being present in the moment, thinking about what's happening. Then when we're not using our phone for the first hour of the day, and today we got a bite to eat, just went to the wee coffee shop, that roast across the road, and we got something to eat. I was like, how good are things right now, man? Like, how good is this? Like, this is...
Gotta throw another one at you, another quote. Appreciate the little things, because one day you may look back and realise they are the big things.
Yeah.
You having your 3 dates, sitting in the balcony. I know you don't follow me on Instagram too long. We only met like the last 5 days or so. I'm a huge gratitude practicer. Yeah. I'm known for it, like almost on my Instagram. I'm 2 years, 1 month, every single day, not one single day missed. I have like 7 books full of practicing gratitude every day, signed and dated every day for over 2 years.
Wow.
Have not missed one day. And I plan on having 70 books by the time I'm gonna pass away. Yeah. And everyone asks me all the time about the gratitude thing, you know, and there's like, I need gratitude more than gratitude needs me, you know. Like, it's like being able to wake up every morning, because your balcony story reminded me of mine, because you'll see on my Instagram stories, I sit in the balcony and I take a picture of my book, just a picture of my marina view, and just like talk about gratitude essentially, you know. And it's just like that 5 minutes in the morning, I sit there with my notepad and pen and write down what I'm grateful for. I write 5 affirmations as well. It's everything to me. People don't understand, because it's just like, it's never about materialistic things that we speak about. You know, the first thing that goes in, because people always ask me this question, can you write the same thing every day? It's like, yeah, of course you can. If you're grateful for it every day, write it every day. You don't have to change it and so forth. But there's a handful that stay in every day. It's like, I am grateful for my life. Goes in every day. It's like, I'm grateful for my health. I'm grateful for my family. But when there's a bit of a lesson here in gratitude, and there's no right or wrong way of doing it. This is just kind of how I do it.
It's a practice.
It's a practice. And every time I write it down, though, this is the important part. You need to feel the words that you're writing. So when I'm writing down, like, I'm grateful for my health, I'm thinking that if my health was took away today, everything changes. And I'm so grateful to be getting up today, being a healthy man, feeling good, so forth. Same if a close family member passes away, everything changes. So just purely being grateful for these things that truly matter in your life. How that can start your day is, like, again, we spoke about compounding things so much. I'm doing this over 2 years and haven't missed one day. And I truly believe, because I'm a universe guy, because I am genuinely so grateful for the life that I have. Well, no matter what it is, not even for what I have now, I've always been grateful that the universe brings me more gratitude and brings me more things to be grateful for. I just believe energetically it gets brought to my life, and that's why I come from fuck all, bro, not very much now, to being in a good place in life. And I think being grateful, truly helps that, you know?
Yeah, because if you're not, man, like, you just become miserable. You just become so caught up. And that's like just drew a line in the sand, like, because I was getting back to the point where I was letting my phone come in earlier in the day, and like I was getting consumed in things, and I was wondering why I was feeling a bit off. I was like, why am I a bit off right now? And like, as I've started to do that, I'm like, I need to make sure I'm starting it for me. Like, although I was doing my training, like doing everything like on paper, like really, really good. Like, I spoke about this in a podcast recently when I realized that I was like, I'm just letting things slide and doing less for me and not checking in with myself as much. But that's what I was talking about today, and I actually said to Ailey, like, just talking about 2 mentors that I've had in my life, and I was like, I'm super grateful for them because they were like huge instigators. But it's so funny because at the time I knew they were instigators, but I was like, imagine, like, one in particular was Phil Graham, working with Phil Graham, like, and I was like, if I didn't do that, we wouldn't be here. Like, and I was like, we wouldn't be on this trajectory doing the things we're doing. If it wasn't for that, it probably would have happened. It might have looked differently. Like, I'm not saying for a second I would have just been in the exact same spot, right? Yeah. But like, the trajectory that they then sent me on and influenced me has been huge. And that was what one person, do you know what I mean? And it's like, just certain things that what you said about what people say, like with a quote, and it's like I was having this chat with I think me and you spoke about it briefly, but it was like, you can call the universe, the law of attraction, Christianity, personal development, whatever you want to call that thing, because certain people hear the word like spirituality and they just switch off. Yeah, I know. Certain people hear the word religion. I'm not religious, but they just switch off. Yeah. Because I do. See, when someone starts banging on about it, I just go like, but that's just because it's not that I'm like going, I don't agree with that. It's just like,
it's just not for you.
It's not for me. But what I've found and what I've really realized, and it's like what we're kind of coaching inside like our program, is like, I call it like a playbook for life, like beliefs and like certain things that happen. And it's like these quotes are almost like your playbook for life that then allow you to go, like, see, when you go, like, something bad happens, you go, universe is testing me. Yeah. Whereas if you didn't have that mental framework there, you then start to not really know yourself. You then start to spiral. You then start to get it. And I don't think a lot of people understand the importance of actually having mental frames or belief systems set up that are going to support you going through a challenge. Because if you don't, like, how,
what direction are you going in?
What direction are you going in? Like, if you, and that's what, like, I always remember, like, Ailey's Gran Rose, absolute hero of a woman, right? And she's like a massive Christian, and basically she really changed my outlook on Christianity, because it was like, it's a purpose. And I'm like, most people don't have a purpose. Like, what are we doing in fitness, mate? We're giving people purpose. So that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? You give someone a really age-old book with a set of beliefs in it, rules for life, like a higher purpose, answers for what they don't really know the answer to. Whereas I've just realised that, oh, wait a minute, over the years of all this development, I've actually created my own playbook.
It's like your own Bible almost.
It's my own Bible, mate, yeah. And it's like, oh, I've actually got this, like, this book in my head that's, like, not written. And I actually said to Ailey, I'm going to write a book one day, and I'm going to call it 0 to 1 and 1 to 100. And it's this full idea of everything that, like, I've learned, like all my coaching, like what I believe. And I'm going to just put this in because it's like this full... It's like how I believe I get clients' results, because I'm explaining, like good at framing things to go,
of course,
that's why that happened. And then they're like, oh, makes sense. And it's like, and I always use the same ones, and I'm like, well, this needs to be written up. Yeah. Make my own Bible.
I love that concept.
Christianity
really
with a K.
Yeah. Like this is a thing, and something that I really think helped over time is like, my grandfather said this once, and my granddad was not a very poetic man, but like he used to just say things and he still stick to me to this very day. And it's like, where was I going with this? It's like, you're not going to be everyone's cup of tea. Some people don't even like tea. And I'm just like, but like, it was just
so true.
But that's just hitting so many different ways in my head. You know, when he said that, for example, we're talking about Christianity. I like spirituality. That's kind of who I am. And it's like, I'll speak about it because this is who I am. This is what I'm into. So I like speaking about the universe, the law of attraction, energy, frequencies, all of that stuff. It's like, this is me. But it's so many, like, that's a terrible grammar, not people. Like, do you know what I mean? They're not about this. They just think that's magic or the heebie-jeebie stuff. It's not there. That's okay.
Yeah.
It's all right. But you know what? It works for me. That's what matters. It's like you explain in your Bible. What works for me? What makes my mindset in a better place? What makes me go on the right trajectory that I need to go in? That's all that truly matters.
Yeah.
And then you'd be surprised the amount of people that, again, me speaking about spirituality or like that are into it, I want to get into it, you know what I mean? So accepting that, like, we're not going to impress everyone, and that's okay. And it's almost, again, a blessing, because it's going to attract, here's me using the law of attraction again, it's going to attract the people that you want coming your way. Anyways, no disrespect, I don't want them other people in my life. I'm outrageously protective about my energy. It's like me sitting down with you at the pool. We just got chatting, and we were for an hour speaking about so much. If I was 10 minutes into that conversation and you went ass and you weren't about, I honestly wouldn't have, like, I wouldn't be rude, but I wouldn't.
Over the other side of the pool.
Yeah, literally find a different sun trap. But you know what I mean? It's just like, be very overly protective, if this is the type of thing you're into, of your energy. You know, it's because it's very real, you know?
Yeah. No, I'm big on that as well, mate, because like it's that layer deeper, man. Like we talk a lot about inside the program of like your state, like your energy, whatever you want to call it. And it's like a lot of people are in that contracted state where they're like so like up and down, driven by like all the sort of the negative emotions. And I had a guy in the podcast recently that actually, Stephen Curry, amazing episode, and he's overcame addiction. And a lot of these 12-step programs and Cocaine Anonymous, Alcoholics Anonymous are just personal development programs. But some of them are leveraged with like Christianity and different things. And he's now a massive Christian, and he said something, he's like, where are you operating from, a higher place or a lower place? And I'm like, that's very similar to what I say with the contracted and the expanded. Do you know what I mean? Like, are you in a contracted state? Are you in it's all the same stuff.
It is.
Oh, and like we had a really good chat. One of our clients, Ross, was in Dubai last week, and we went and caught up with him. And he's like really full-fledged mindset coach, really went all in this, like quit his job recently. And we were having this similar conversation about how like you can call it whatever you want. It's just a belief system.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, like, the scary thing is, right, and someone might be listening, if you're probably listening to this, if you're tuned into a podcast, you're probably doing a bit of work in yourself, like someone that's blissfully unaware of it. But it's actually it's mad of ourselves. Like, it's actually like to actually not try and install like some kind of, like, our mind has 60,000 thoughts a day on average, mate. 60,000 thoughts a day. I talk about this all the time. To actually believe that you can just go through thinking you're an empty meat vessel, floating through life, wondering why life's not working for you, is fucking delusional. Like, it's actually, when you think about it, like, it's like,
bro, listen, one of the biggest things I would say that changed my life, I'm after turning this podcast away from fitness into spirituality, but it's not even spirituality. Every human being, you tell me I'm wrong here, every human being on planet Earth has that intuition voice. You can call it your gut, your heart. Am I right that thing that speaks to you, but it's not up here, it's here? Everyone has it, right? And I truly believe with a full heart that my life changed when I started listening to that voice that was within. It was nothing to do with this, because this was trying to keep me safe and not do anything outrageous or take risks. But I had this like voice, I mean it so much, bro, that like I had this voice within me when I was working my old job, and it used to just be speaking to me. I can even hear the words. And I was like, you are meant for more than this. I swear. And I came from a background where there was no one in front of me to show me the way. There was no one in front of me in my family or whatever that like was successful, that done anything. I am like the black sheep of my family. Trust me when I say that. And that voice used to be like, you can do more. You can be more. And everything changed when I started listening to it. And to this very day, I'm almost a little bit obsessed with it, if I'm honest. That gut feeling, that voice that's within me is always steering me in the right direction. This is looking for, like, logic, and logic is important to an extent, but this always knows the true answers, you know, about friendships, relationships, what direction I'm trying to go in. I have it as like weird concept about it, that like your inner voice, it's right even when it's wrong.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is like that, well, let's just call it a gut feeling because it'll make a little bit more sense. It's like when you're trying to make a big decision in your life and your gut is telling you to go for it, okay? And you go against your gut and you're like, no, that's scary, I'm not going to do that or whatever. Somewhere down the line, you're going to be like, oh, fuck. I said, when you get more variables, like, I knew it. I should have done it all along, but you didn't listen to this. But if you went in the other direction, it's the transverse of that. Does that make sense?
It makes total sense.
Yeah. So then it's just like that inner voice is always guiding you, and always like, I sound like I'm super religious. I'm not religious at all, but that's just this is my mental Bible and how my brain and innerness works. You know,
it's so funny because the question that I was going to ask you is that, like, what was it again? It was, I put it in here, and it was basically about like exactly what you've said right there. I don't think I actually wrote it down, and it was about like, like you mentioned about coming from a deprived area in Ireland. Why do you think this either keeps people there or achieve huge amounts of success? You've just answered that question, because like, why is that? Like, why is it that like there is those outliers that then do something about it? And I think it's just a combination of like certain things, and it's always from people that haven't really done that. Do you know what I mean? No, like why is it that's so unique, isn't it? And it's, I think maybe people are a bit more in tune with it, maybe listening to their gut a little bit more, and they're maybe recognizing that. And it doesn't have to be that, like, because we were actually talking about that book Outliers. There is luck, there is how you position yourself, there is how you're I can't get that word out. Positioned, yeah. And when you were born, where you were born, all these things impact it. But like, why is it that like you'll get someone from like a really deprived area that just goes on to just do way more than what even someone that's had it instilled in them to do it, someone that's been from a privileged background, someone that's had parents that have been like, no, you can do this, you've been encouraged for day one, and they don't do it, but someone that hasn't had that, why is that?
The book Outliers is brilliant for it, you know. Like, I have almost like, it's only when I start reading and like obviously doing the self-development stuff that I was always obsessed with people that came from nothing and became something. And like, I was always looked to read their stories, and like, there's one in particular I always think of. It's not a person in particular, but there's people that come from wooden sheds with zinc roofs that become millionaires. Yeah, it happens, you know, and obviously it doesn't happen regularly, but it just gives me that innerness of like, you can do it type of a thing, you know, like no matter what of your situation, don't be a victim. You know, like the area that I come from, there's a very, very extremely low percentage of people that even just go to university or college. Like, it's not good, you know. It's just like, doesn't happen. And it's just like having that inner grit to be like, I can be more. But the big thing I think you said earlier, you just have to go for it. You said you have to do it. It's action over everything, you know. And it's going to be scary, and it's going to be struggle, and it's going to be anxiety, and it's going to be everything that you don't want to feel. But like, that's the reason why you're going to get it.
It takes you a lot of years to shed that scarcity though, man. Like, because I don't have it. I get anxious, I get the nerves.
You're a human.
But it's not a risk anymore. It's just total like just a case of like, what's the work that's required, and how long will it take me to achieve it? It might take me 4 months longer than I thought it was going to be, but it will still be achieved. And it's like, there does come this point, even when I was talking to people about this, like one of the common things that I had about coming away was like, well, you can come back if... And I'm like, why is this even in the conversation right now? Like, I've not even mentioned that. Like, I've not even, like, we haven't even spoke about this, but like, it's just deeply ingrained in people's mind to think about like the not going to plan. And like you said it earlier, but I love it, is like you need to take it off the table. Like, you need even like, and I'm not saying that like the position that this isn't like when I left the Air Force or when I was starting from scratch. Like, I actually have certain things there that I know will give me stability and stuff, and there is obviously risk involved, but like, we're so conditioned to just operate in the back foot and not play to win, and it takes so long to just start becoming someone that plays to win. Like, it does, like, and it's not like I say, oh, why didn't I do this 2 years ago? I wasn't ready. Like, I wasn't at the point to do that. You know? I wasn't ready, even though I wanted to do it. I just wasn't where my mind is at, where my beliefs are at, how I was thinking. Like, it just didn't align. So I wasn't ready. It's as simple as that. And it's like, this stuff takes time to like really compound together. Do you know what I mean?
It is so true though. Like them, like I could easily say the exact same story as you in two ways. It's funny when I was leaving to come here to Dubai, and I don't know how many people said to me, "Sure, look, if it doesn't work out, we can always just come back, get your old job and all." And I was like, honestly, I have a post on my Instagram about it. When I was moving, I was like, I'm all in on plan A. There is no plan B.
Yeah.
I'm making this work. And that was something that I just had to drive into my head from the minute I got on that plane. I was like, we're making this work no matter what.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like, I'm the same as you. I could actually probably go back to my old job or whatever, but I'd have to go back to my mother's house because you can't get a place in Dublin or whatever. But then things didn't even fickle in my mind. I was like, you have to make it happen. I hope so many people, I actually put up, I'm not sure if you've seen a reel yesterday, I was on Mike Thorson's YouTube channel 2 years ago.
Yeah.
That was the day that changed it for me.
Yeah.
That changed it for me.
I seen that actually, yeah.
I was looking at him and I used to always watch Mike on YouTube and everything else, and to me that was like a dream, looking at that man like living in Dubai, like traveling the world, like training in the best gyms, like doing all these things. I'm like used to have this like concept or this mindset of like, yeah, that's only for people like him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was like,
scarcity, isn't it? It's the
scarcity,
keeping you safe, man.
You know, and then it just came to a point as like, because I'm a big manifestation person as well, it was like I almost manifested the position I got into, and then all of a sudden then you're living it. It's just like, it's so crazy, you know. It's like, we need to, I hope people get a lot from this when me and you speak today. It's like, just two average guys. We're not super famous, or we're not even famous, or anything really, but we're looking at from where I came from and where I am now, you know, and that can happen for absolutely anyone.
Yeah. I said to Ailey yesterday when we were walking, and I actually spoke to you about it as well, and it was like, just talking about like the shift and like our next level for coaching, for Ready for Anything. And I was like, we've created most any problems that we have, we've created them. And I'm not saying they're like bad problems, but like, I was even talking about certain things. I was like, it's funny how like certain things will just naturally change and it will become the new standard because of things that are forced upon us. I don't know exactly what they are, but like, see when people are going like, when you're quite blissfully unaware of something, like, and you're just creating it, that's a really good thing because you've got nothing else to measure it against. It can be to your detriment because you might be playing small, whatever, right? Obviously, the full thing about having other influences and people around you is it allows you to go, all right, that's the standard. But the dangerous thing with the standard is that loads of folk just start copying other people that aren't actually doing that well. So like I see this a lot in coaching, and it's like everyone starts coaching and they become carbon copies of each other, but they're becoming a carbon copy of someone that's not doing that well.
Yeah.
And it's like, why are you copying them? And it's like, oh, they're doing well. And it's like, mate, they're 2 steps in front of you. Yeah. Like, take 2 steps and you'll be achieving that. It's like, it's so easy to like not realize that you're actually sabotaging yourself by just doing what you're doing. And I suppose it goes back to that independent thinking. Like, it takes a while to get that because you are a bit of a sheep.
Yeah.
Like, and even the sheep thing even happens like with like tendencies that you do. Like, even things like being out here, there'll be like certain ones like putting a picture of my breakfast on my balcony. It's like, how many coaches do that? It's like, but you feel the need to do that. And it's not that it's your subconscious like going, but like it's very easy to create problems for yourself because it's what you think you should do. Like I
agree.
Yeah.
Authenticity is huge, bro. Like I think it's part of the reason why you can actually go so far in life and not like, listen, you can obviously take inspiration from others or whatever. But I've always been like, how I grew my business, I honestly don't even know because I'm telling you, like, I've never had a mentor. I built it off of what I just felt worked.
Yeah.
Honestly, like what I could do for me in the past, and then like obviously at the old job or whatever. But I just kept building it around how essentially, like, I know everyone's saying that, how can I make this very easy for somebody else to use and how can I get them results at the same time? That makes sense. And I'm just like, me being like, I look on my Instagram, like, and it's a business page, but it's just also there's just like what I feel is the right thing to do, and I just keep following that gut feeling constantly. And I read this in a book, and it was so powerful, and I'm gonna absolutely butcher it because I haven't got a word for word, but it was like, your superpower is that you are you. So from the beginning of man time, like, there has never been anyone exactly like you. And for the rest of the world, for however long that may go on, there won't be anyone exactly like you either. So your gift is that what you can give out to the world. No one's ever going to look like you, think like you, speak like you, be you. So you can copy my business right now. My business is thankfully going well. You can copy my strategies, my protocols, everything, how I coach people, but you're still not me. Yeah. You can't give what I have to give. And same way I can't give what you have to give. So this is why we need to back ourselves. As my superpower is that I am me.
Yeah.
And that's what I can do to help the world and help the people that I'm at. So I've always had this, honestly, Kristian, I don't care what all the other coaches are doing. And I'm surrounded by a lot of successful coaches over here, and I like them all. We have good chats and all. But I'm still just going to follow what I think is right for me and for my clients and try build from there, you know?
Yeah. That's why you've been successful, mate. Do you know what I mean? That's why you've done well, because you've just stayed true. You've not got caught up in the machine of like what you think you should be doing. Mm-hmm. There will be elements there that you've naturally like followed on in protocols and things that you've learned that have worked and stuff. It's not saying that you're reinventing the wheel here and you're doing like it's all, there's only so many ways you can get someone to achieve said thing. Like you're not going to do like we do this mad protocol that's different, but that, as you said, that word authenticity, people just think of it in like a one-dimensional way. It's like, it's just being true to yourself, isn't it? Sticking to like what you know and what you value.
Mate, I love that you said that, because I'm a little spiritual weirdo with that. When I moved here to Dubai, I've always had whiteboards my whole entire life. Like my whole entire life, obviously, when I started coaching and ever, I always had a small one when I lived in my mother's house, got a bigger one, have one here in Dubai. And the first thing I got when I moved into my apartment in Dubai was whiteboard. Okay, and I write, it's still there, I'll send you a picture.
You said a white bird, and I was like, a bird in a cage. I was like, all right, man.
We're gonna need subtitles for this, for everyone from the Scottish to the Irish accent. So yes, I have a whiteboard since I moved into my apartment, and the top left-hand corner, it says, "Stay true to yourself."
Yeah.
It's in big capital letters with a box around it. And the reason why it's there is when I moved to Dubai, an old football coach / friend sent me a message, and he's like, "Best of luck when you move to Dubai." He says, "Just remember, there is no luck in this. You got yourself in this position, but always remember, stay true to yourself." Mm-hmm. He has no idea how much them last few words has changed my life. Because I said, no matter who I'm around, no matter what big influences are there, I'm going to always stay true to what I believe is right for me. Yeah. And I have to read it, Kristian, every single day. It's in front of my desk. Stay true to yourself. And when you do, your life is going to flow in the direction that it's meant to be with. Don't ever be anyone that you're not supposed to be. Yeah. So, because like, unfortunately, Dubai is full of a lot of fake people. It's also full of a lot of great people too. But it's just like, when I'm stay true to who I am, it's only going to attract more of what I need in my life, you know?
I was saying to Ailey, like, as we were kind of coming out here, like, I wanted to use it as like a new chapter to kind of reinvent myself, not fake who I am, but like reinstall like my values, what is that's really important to me. I said, I just want to be a really good guy. And it's not that I'm a bad guy. It's not that like, I was like, so then that needs to be like my moral compass. Is like, so like if I feel like I'm judging someone, I need to stop doing it. If I feel like a negative thought is coming in, it's like, I'm going to act on it and speak about it. I'm like, that's not in line with that. And it's like, I just want to be a really good guy, and I want to be known as a really good guy. Like, I don't want to be like known as a guy that's like, oh, he's really good at that, but he does this. And there's always going to be someone that says this, and but like, and that's not just because I want other people's opinion of me. It's because I want you. It's for me, and I just want to be someone that's like that's just a good person,
proud of the man that you are.
Yeah, like, because
that's probably the best way to put it.
I'm reading that How to Win Friends and Influence People right now, and it's talking about like great leaders and their traits, and it was like talking about like President Lincoln, and it was the first chapter's all about like just. I took a lot away from it, man, especially in coaching, because it was all about like, it doesn't matter if you offend anyone in a way, people don't respond well. Like, and it's like, you offend people in coaching quite a lot, not in a purposeful way, but you have to be honest with folk.
Yeah, of course.
Mate, like, we've right now got 53 folk in the program. If I'm not being honest with at least 5 people in a week, that's 10%, man. Yeah. Like, I am not doing my job. At least 10%. Like, if I'm not having a really honest conversation, I'm not doing my job. But it was basically talking about how like Abraham Lincoln went from being someone that was quite gallus. He was a lawyer, and then I think he was a lawyer or like I don't know, worked in a court, done something where he put people away, and it was like how he was quite gallus and quite open. He would write letters to the open letters to like the anonymous letters to the mail, slandering people. But then it got him into like predicaments. Then it was like, it's that Honest Abe, that sort of thing, and it was all about how like he ended up completely changing his entire values to the point that like he was like, I need to be a good man, I need to be a good leader. And there would have been loads of things that folk could go, oh, he done this and he done that. But there was this interesting one, and it was like basically someone, the person that was like the general that was in charge of like his side of like I don't even know the history of it, but it was in charge of the army. And he never made an attack that he said, you need to make this, and it would have ended the war. And the guy never done it, and it was like he wrote this big angry letter, and he's actually got the letters in the book, and it's like basically like, you actually caused this war to go on for years, blah blah blah. And it's like, interestingly, that letter never ever got sent. It never ever got sent to that person. And it was like, because he then actually started to think, wait a minute, I need to put myself in that general's shoes. He's witnessed loads of folk die. And it was like, because it was on paper, it's like, that guy should have done that with it. And it's like, but this guy's been in a war campaign for fucking months. Like, he's watched loads of his men died. He's seen a lot of blood spilled. If I was in his shoes, what would I have actually done? What I asked him to do? And he never sent a letter. And I was like, that's so interesting, man, that he was just embodied this level of honesty and like, I need to be a good leader. That like, even though he had those feelings and he even wrote a letter, he just never done it. Yeah. And I was like, that's amazing. Like,
it is. And I think you'll agree with me when I say this, that if everyone on planet Earth lived with that type of mindset of, okay, just how do you think this person feels? Yeah. Take you out of the equation. Like, what's going on in their life? My mother gave me this one, and it always stuck with me. This was like when I was like young, but I always remember she just said something very simply, kind of like my granddad, not trying to sound poetic, but she was just like, always give people your time because you never know what they're going through. Yeah. Always stuck with me because like I've gone through a lot of shit in my life and all, and I kept just a level head of someone's whatever coming my way, but they don't even know what I'm going through at the moment. But like me sitting across the table from you, hopefully think everything is all good. I don't know what you're going through right now. Be a good person, no matter what, where you are in the street, no matter how you feel, because you don't know how you could make someone crumble by not being a good person and what they're going through. Yeah. So having that, like, again, mindset of just like always being considerate of others, putting in their shoes, and just, but even you don't even have to. Sorry, I want to say this. You don't even have to know what they're going through. You just have to know that I'm a good man and I'm a good person, and I'm going to continue to be that way regardless. You know?
I've really, like, my sort of moral compass with this has really came about since I've been an online coach, because as an online coach you have to have like a third eye, man. you have to be thinking about what people are thinking, because this isn't a wrongdoing on your part, but people aren't good at communicating. So even when someone is communicating what they're telling you, like, I always call it, people play table tennis where they play the game where like people now know what it's like to be coached so much that they actually don't know how to be coached because they're trying to play this game of being coached. Do you know what I mean with this? And it's like, you're like, but they're not actually telling you how they're actually feeling, what they're actually going through, what they're actually struggling with. And I've like made so many mistakes with that and everything. Of like, and that's just me being honest, where like I've been like, I've not taken the time to actually go, what's this person trying to say right now? Or like, what are they, like, they're telling me this, but what are they actually saying? And that's something that like has really taught me a lot about that, is that like, you need to have that mindset, especially as being a coach, because you are the person of authority, you are the person of leadership, you are the person being a North Star. But that can also, when the person is maybe not as self-aware, not a very good communicator, you can put them down a bit, man. Do you know what I mean? You need to be so careful about it. And that's like, when someone's a very one-dimensional black and white coach, it's very just like training, nutrition, like, it can cripple folk, man, because like
100%. People aren't, I say this to people that come through my door, you're not paying for a nutrition and training program, you're paying to work with me and my skills and my people skills and how I can actually get you to where you want to get to, because you don't operate like everybody else, but I have the interpersonal skills to be able to do that. I'm a really, really good people person. I'm very, like, again, emotionally intelligent. I have all these things to be able to know when to push, when to pull. Not everyone has them skills, because they're skills. You know, they truly are. Yeah.
Do you miss teaching at all?
No.
No?
Oh, no, because I'm happy where I'm at now. Not that I did dislike it when I was doing it. You know, I actually believe that everything happens the way it's supposed to happen. I have incredible patience. Working with children will do that to you. You know, so like that was the big thing. But no, that was a chapter in my life that I'd done for a long time. And
how long did you do it for?
Nearly 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was a big chapter in my life, but now I'm happy where how things in my life is right now. It's actually nice to say that out loud, because we don't do that sometimes. I'm like,
someone asked me that question recently about the military. It was a young guy that went to my gym in Fraser, a lovely guy, you'll probably be watching this. 17, so far ahead of the curve, man. And he was like, you were in the forces, and he was asking me, and I just gave him my like really honest opinion. I was like, do you want to go to war, mate? And he was just like, he was like, I think he'd thought about that. And I was like, because we're on like a big, this is, right now is like, we're on the brink of like a big war. Like, and it's like, I joined at a time where it was a drawdown of Afghanistan. Like our trade had like they weren't involved in any of the stuff that was away. There was no like sort of like heavy involvement in areas that like anything was all done from a distance. Whereas now we're moving into a chapter that's like, this is a scary chapter. And then like we were talking about it and stuff, and then I was just chatting to him back and forward about it. But then he's like, I can't remember if he said, do you miss it or what? And I was like, no, I don't miss it, mate. I enjoy the times that I had, but I'm not there anymore. So no, I don't miss it. Like, and it's like very similar to what you said right there. Like, it was a good time of your life, like, and you're grateful for it, but like I'm happy where I'm at now. Like, I don't go, oh, I wish I was there.
Yeah, like, exactly. It's just like life's about chapters, right?
Yeah,
it's like that was chapters in both of our lives where we're in these jobs. Now we're here. Who knows in 5 years where it's gonna be, you know? Yeah. A guy said something to me, he's actually a pilot in my Dublin gym. He's like maybe 50, really like no typical Irish, Scottish funny guy. You would never think this guy was a pilot because he was so jokey. Pure, like it was like really out there.
Pure Jack the lad.
Yeah. And he said something to me just before, the day before I left. I always chatted to him when I was in the gym, and it was the first time I think I've ever heard him being serious. Yeah. He said to me, he says, when you go to Dubai, he says, and you get off the plane, I says, I want you to do one thing. I says, get off that plane, take a big, deep breath in and say, I am open to everything. And I done it. I remember, I got there, and I was just going to say to myself, I'm open to everything. And because his point was like, you could get there and start selling gold for all you know, and just be open to whatever avenues come your way, what attract to you. And it's so interesting because so many different things has happened to me from living here for the last 2 years. And I think that little, just so I said, the power of the spoken word. Yeah. I didn't stay in that one little lane. I've done a few different things here, and it was like, it's crazy, you know?
There's so many opportunities out here, man.
Bro. Like, let me say this. I say, like, my business more than doubled since being here. And I say that, yes, I worked harder. Yes, I put myself in all in plan A, no plan B. But I would say that you organically get better in Dubai. Organically. Because you're just surrounded by, like, if you move here full time, you're going to be, let's say, in company with me, other coaches and everything else. And again, I don't care what.
All ships rise to the tide, mate.
Exactly. Do you know what I mean? Just see yourself gravitating up. I reckon if I was in Dublin right now, I wouldn't be in the position that I'm in right now. This place, everyone's chasing dreams, trying to be better, and it's not a competition. Like, this is, I want to say this too, because it's important that people know this about Dubai. People aren't very jealous here, whether if someone's higher up in you or not. Everyone's kind of like very supportive, especially the coaching network out here. Well, the guys that I've been in touch with, they're like, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? Like, not just a few bouncing ideas, or like, or if someone had a good strategy, they'd be like sending it to the boys, saying, I'm after doing this is after working really well, you should do that too. It's not like on me. But unfortunately, a little bit at home, it's a bit of begrudgery. The people that want to see you do well, but not better than them. Yeah. Honestly, it's something that I love about the boy. It's, from my experience, it's not like that here.
Yeah, that's it, man. And it's tall poppy syndrome, isn't it? Like, where like, it's good. People will support you, and what is the saying? It's like they'll support you on the way up, but as soon as you're like bigger than them, they'll tear you down or something. I can't remember what it is, but that's that full idea of like tall. The poppy that grows the tallest is the one that will get chopped first. And it definitely is. It's because of, again, that mindset of like my parents have been nothing but supportive for me. And I was talking to Ayla about this recently, and we were chatting about like certain beliefs that we think were, and I was talking to Mum about it actually, and I was saying, like, I never think you gave me any limiting beliefs. You would have done, like there would be loads, right?
Yeah,
I'm not saying that, but like I was like, but there was one that I remember that like they were like very, very like, go and do this, and like go and get a trade, go and like or like go and get. And then when I was leaving the Air Force, my mum was like, you're leaving? Like, it was like, and it's because she cared and she was worried, and she couldn't see what I could see, and now she's nothing but supportive. But like, that is the mindset that's being bestowed on people in the UK and Ireland, is that it's just like, play the path of least resistance. Like, everything's a calculated risk. I used to hear folk when they go, oh yeah, but it's just for the security, and I'd go, no, I get that. Now I'm like, fuck that. That is keeping you the same. Like, you're not going to die. Like, you're not going to do this thing and have no money and be on the street. Like, I think you're more capable than that.
Yeah, of course.
And people go on like they're going to die. Like, oh, like, I can't leave this job, man, because the pension. It's like, mate, you're going to get like 20 grand a year. You might not even get it.
Yeah.
Like, you might not even get, like, that pension is probably going to be non-existent. That one that you've not even paid into, the company's paid into. You don't even know if the company's going to be there. Like, and people are like, yeah, but the pension. I'm like, mate, the world's changing rapid, man, and that's an old school way of thinking, and that was created in a time that was projected way into a future that's going to be a very different future. So actually believing that that's going to be the thing that's going to be like your saving grace is delusional. Like, see, when I was in the military, mate, it was called the pension trap. I was like, the pension trap. People were going, oh, I'm 12 years in, man, I need to do my 22. I'm like, 22 years. You've just told me that you don't like doing what you do, but you're in a pension trap. I went, no, you're in a belief trap. You're not in a pension trap, man. Like, you could go away and throw everything at it, work hard, upskill yourself, and quadruple your fucking earning capacity. But because you've like looked at where you're at, where you've been, you're basing your future on that. And it's like, you need to fucking create your own. You need to be like,
literally,
that's
how we get so anxious living in the future, and there's absolutely zero guarantees in any way, shape and form. You can plan, even do. It doesn't mean you're going to get what you want, you know, and that's just okay. Yes, do what you're supposed to do, and see where it brings you, because you're not guaranteed to be in this position no matter what. And it's interesting what you're saying about your parents. It's so true, and I think people need to understand this, is that like when you have a vision, and I always believe that like your vision was shown to you, I don't know by a higher power, the universe or whatever, but it was shown to you. It wasn't shown to your mom or your dad or your sister or your best friends. They can't see what you see. That's what I've always thought when I was kind of on my trajectory of going where I was going, and mom was like, oh, same as you. I was like, oh, you're leaving your job. I was like, oh, but you have it good here and all. They don't mean it, especially your actual loved ones. They're just trying to protect you. They just want you to be okay. But I always love that concept of like, you can't see what I can see. I have different kind of fires in my heart that I can't explain, but I need to follow them, you know. And it'll come to a stage, look, your mother and my mother now is just like, they see where we're at right at the moment. And I'm sure that outrageously proud that we swam against the current. You know,
it's hard as well, because like when you are instigating that kind of change, especially when you're going through the sort of the place of despair, like not how you mentioned about losing your grandfather, like your dog at the time, like you're in this spot, man, with your tail's between your legs, and you don't have the undeniable stack of evidence yet, and you're like this might not work, and it's like, yeah, it might not, but what's the risk of staying here? Does that outweigh the risk of it not working? Does that outweigh the risk of it going tits up? And it's like, that's what you need to look at.
I always looked at that concept, saying what you're saying here is like that I'm staying here the whole time and I'm not exactly happy, you know, and the risk of going up here is scary as fuck. But like, what hurts more, being in this stagnant pain wave around here for like continuous years, or going for it and actually getting the answers that you've always wanted from within, if it's going to work out or not. And if it doesn't, it's like that gut feeling. You always know, do you know what? At least I went for it. But sitting at that stage here at the whole time of like, oh, it's just what if, living with the what ifs, like that's something that with the deathbed thinking thing I think about. I don't want to look back and say what if, you know, and that's probably the biggest thing that kind of drove like being an outlier to go, was like, I only have one shot at this. And we don't like you said, we think time's eternal sometimes, but it truly isn't. You need to be able to look back one day and say, do you know what, I went for it, you know. I didn't, like, because I can promise you there's enough people on that deathbed going to be like saying I should have done so much more. And I think about that deathbed analogy, honestly, bro, so much.
I call that the funeral mindset. So why I call it that is every time I go to a funeral, I look at things differently, because it reminds me of like how short life is. And
you're not immortal.
No, I always remember going to see my granny, and when she passed away last year, and when she was lying there, and like the first time I've went to see a relative after they've passed away, and she was all like done up with her makeup and stuff, and like I touched her and she was really cold, and I was just like, that's gonna happen, man. That's actually gonna happen at one point, that you're gonna be lifeless, man, and you're gonna be there. And I remember just being like, it gives me chills like talking about it. And it's like, it's just like the stark reality of like life is that like it literally is like it's got a timeline on it. And I just like think that, but that's because our minds are designed to protect us. They're the survival experts, so our mind is designed just to survive. So like when you're in a place of abundance, even if you don't have money, right, even if you're in poverty, right, poverty in the UK now, and I don't know if it's the same in Ireland, isn't like poverty in a third world country.
True.
Poverty in the UK is like a flat screen telly and you go on a holiday once a year. Not for everyone, by the way. I know there's folk that go to food banks, I know, but like generally speaking, see if I go to like a more deprived area and I walk through it, like where we lived in Cowannon, there was like 4 or 5 council estates, right?
Mm-hmm.
People that are in the sort of bottom percentile of earners in the UK, like lowest income households, right? All that stuff there, right? That's not me. This is me just talking about stats, right? I would walk through that area, right? And I can guarantee I'll see flat screen tellies in the wall. I'll see like cars outside, like, and I'm not saying they don't have problems. I'm not saying they don't have challenges. I'm not saying they don't have to like go through challenges. I'm not saying that at all. But what I'm saying is like, go and look at that area that is in a bottom percentile earner and go and tell me, then go to it in Bali.
You took the words out of my mouth. I was going to say that.
Go to it in Bali, then look at the difference.
I'm sure a Balinese person would look at the bottom percentile of what you're talking about and think them people are outrageously rich.
Yes. And I think when we're in these points of like being in a state of, especially in the UK and Ireland, of despair, it's not actually despair enough to actually make you act on it. It's comfortable because it's like, got a roof over my head, like get my takeaway coming in like 2 or 3 times a week. I've got my what's that thing called that folk get, the Fire Stick, where they've got like an illegal one to get all the channels in. They're like, life's good, man. Like they might not be going life's good, they might not be checking in, they might be pretty miserable and they might be sad, unhappy,
but they're safe.
They're safe, mate. And that safety just kills people, mate. It just like keeps folk the same. And I don't want anyone to think when I'm talking about this like I'm just being ignorant and saying that everyone's good in that, but I'm trying to put it in perspective. Like when we're going to Bali at the weekend, like the guys that go and work in the construction sites are like the bottom earners, man. Like you go to the more rural areas and there's like farmers that don't have as much money, but like you look at some of these guys and they're not getting paid a lot of money, don't even have like steel toe cap boots, they're wearing sandals, mate.
It's mad you said that, because when you were speaking about them, that's the first thing I was thinking of.
Yeah, to get sandals on a construction
building
site.
Sites.
Yeah,
no hard hat helmets,
nothing. And they're wearing like then they literally they'll go away from the family to go and get paid nothing, and they live in a wooden box. Like it's literally, have you seen them where they're in the sites? And it's like, it's not even got a proper roof on it. It's got a flat boxy roof and it's just plywood. And they just sleep in them, and it's like that, and like that's like poverty, mate.
No, it is proper poverty. Even like, I was happy.
That's mad. They've got phones though.
I know.
Like, have you got a phone?
Have you been to Gilly Tea?
No, I never went to Gilly Tea.
I went to Gilly Tea last year, not this year, in Bali, and this guy, his name is Ari, and it just reminds me of the English Ari. Yeah, that's how I remembered his name. He brought us out on a boat to go, like there's underwater and you can swim into the statues and get photos. It's pretty.
I've seen it. Yeah.
It's done that. It's pretty cool. So basically, I had to give him money, and I went around to where his house was. It's exactly what you were saying. Like I mean, 4x4, just like
square.
And I was just like, because I'm such a gratitude preacher and advocate. Like if I'm just like, this is how these guys are living, is absolutely madness, and you just need to sit back into yourself and realize how truly blessed that you are, like outrageously blessed. And that's why the whole gratitude thing helps me more than anyone could ever know, because I just sit back in and say, hold on a second here, you are more than okay, you're blessed in every way more than any possible. And going to places like Bali and stuff, even being here in Dubai, a lot of people, like the workers over here, the cleaners, the taxi men, you have it so hard, do you know what I mean? So I just like tell myself every single morning when I'm writing down, you're more grateful than you could, or you're more lucky than you could ever know, you know?
Yeah, no, 100%. I always remember our last time we were in Bali, we went, it was like last November, and we ended up going to La Brisa. You've been to La Brisa?
Yeah,
I love that place, man.
Yeah, lovely place.
And we went there on the Saturday night. I think we left on the Sunday we came here. And we were there on the Saturday night, and we got drinks and stuff, and it was a really, really good night. And then we were coming out, and there's this ice cream place in I can't say it. And we went to go there, and then these two guys, like, you know how they're always, you can get the Gojek or the Grab, basically their version of Uber, and they're everywhere. Yeah. So when they're not doing official ones, they're doing like
side jobs.
Side hustle ones. And these guys are like two cheeky looking guys, man. They actually follow me on Instagram. They're really nice guys, and I follow them as well. They just follow me.
I get you.
And basically, I was like, can you take us to the ice cream place? And I was like, either you jump in his and I'll jump on. And we were going along, and I went, just want to come in for an ice cream? And then we ended up just like going, like really like chatting to them. They were just like, one of them was the same age as me, one of them was like 25, and he was a surfer, like really, really cool guy. And I can't remember their names because I couldn't even pronounce them.
Yeah.
And we were chatting, and then I went like that. I went, just want to come for a beer with us? And we ended up going to Black Sands, and they were buzzing, man. And I was like, it was just such a nice night, just chatting away to them and stuff. And I was talking to them, and I was like, so what do you do in your time off? The guy was like, time off?
What's that?
And I was just like, fuck, they don't.
Yeah.
They just work every day. And I was just like, and I think traveling, man, like you got all these amazing experiences, but what traveling does is it puts things in perspective, man, and how different the world is. And like you said here, like you've got this contrast of this, and then there's obviously a lot of good things going on there, but you see that other side to it. And anywhere else I've been in the world, it's like you take these lessons, and it's like, it's not even the words that someone says or the phrase, it's like it's how someone says something, or an observation. Or we went to Cuba when I was younger, and like Cuba's still detached from the world. They only got internet like a couple of years ago, I think. And I remember going to Cuba when I was a little boy, and it was like going back in time, mate. Like it was like totally still going back, and like literally it still is like that. And I remember just being like, how like this was like when I was 16, 15, so like 16 years ago, right? And we were there, and I went to this like someone's house, and it was the only house in the village with a TV in it. And this thing was like it wasn't a fancy TV, and like everyone came from the village to like go and watch the telly and stuff. And you're just like, it's mad that like this, just all these different things are happening. You're just so oblivious to it. You're just in your own little bubble, man.
You put it perfectly. You're so oblivious to the world until you go travel and can't see around how things are, because you just think, almost wherever you are, if you're even in the UK and Ireland here, boy, everything becomes the norm. No matter where you are, even living here, everything has become so normal, which was like not normal at all at the start. Saying this is crazy, but like even like you're saying, like you'd be surprised though, because I love this phrase as well. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. You know, like, and that's how you've gotten these concepts from these Balinese guys or whatever. It's like that expression on their face, that tone of voice, and that's how you can really feel what someone's saying. You know, like I'll use a silly example, but like I'm a foodie. I love eating, you know, and if you're like to me, Collie, go to this burger place, it's really good, I really like it. But you said it like that. People like, Collie, I went to this cheeseburger place, and like they have this melted cheese, and they put truffles on, and I was like, that's good. I can tell by his energy and how he looks, how he feels, and I'm always kind of going off this when I'm speaking with people, you know. But to get back to my point of why I'm saying this is that particularly in Bali, although they have not got a lot, okay, and I'm a gratitude guy, that they're probably one of those grateful people on planet Earth. They have very little, and they're always smiling, they're always happy. And my theory, I don't know if it's true, is that although they haven't got a lot, but they have the important things. They get, like, might be on their Gojeks driving people around all day, but they get to go home to their family every day, you know, which is what's truly important. Whether here in Dubai, I spoke to so many taxi men from Pakistan, India. They're here 10 years, might get to go home once a year, don't see their family, don't see their kids, you know, and obviously that's why they're like, probably massively unhappy, you know. Whether the Balinese people that have the things that really do matter in life is like be around their friends, be around their family, and live in their own country and do these things. Do you know what I mean? So I think like
it's perspectives, isn't it?
Always. And that's why I always think to myself is like, yes, want to have certain financial goals and have these things and all, and they are important, but I came to a conclusion that it's not what's going to make me happy. I know that for an absolute 150% fact, even though I will chase my goals. It's not the materialistic things, it's not reaching certain pivots or achievements in my coaching career or whatever. It's them moments in time that, like, again, that we're trying to create.
Have you heard about this idea of like perception and perspective? Like how the perception of what you perceive is what either like progresses you or keeps you the same. And I heard it in a podcast with Diary of a CEO, and it was a guy that was a former CIA agent, like I can't remember if he was not an interrogator, but like a courier, like essentially like try to gather information on people, manipulate people emotionally, and he spoke all about different ideas and stuff. It's a really good podcast, by the way, mate. Like it's good for like different angles and stuff on like coaching and stuff as well. And he spoke about like everyone has a perception, So like, let's say you walk in a room, you walk into here, and like you walk into, I was just the example, like, because it's Scotland, right? You walk into my bedroom in Scotland, and in the corner of the room, it's dark. My room's quite moody. You can't really see, and you see like this sort of shape of like a sort of like a pair of socks. But in that moment, your brain's like, that looks like a snake. But in also that same moment, you're like, I live in Scotland. I left my socks there earlier. That's not a snake. But you have that wee moment where like you think that's, and it's because your brain is just basically gathering information based on what you know, your experiences and everything. That's perception, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what a lot of folk lack is perspective. So being in different situations, being around different people gives you perspective to realize the thing that you believe or what you perceive isn't actually what you know. It's interesting, isn't it?
Very.
So it's like basically this idea that like, if you're not exposing yourself to any kind of stimulus or exposing yourself to different environments, people, things, or challenging yourself, your reality just becomes like your full perception. And like that, when you go traveling, it puts things in perspective.
Yeah.
And it makes you kind of look at things differently because of all the different outside perspectives. And they're not even someone telling you. They're things that you're seeing, things that you're observing. And they're creating these like sort of micro instances that make you see the world differently through that lens that you have. It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, very much. It's like it just comes back to when you change the way you look at things, the things that you look at change.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like that concept alone is like, again, it's my favorite quote, but I always just want to look at that as like, it's your choice. It's always your choice how you're going to perceive what's going on. You know, like me and you could be going through the exact same experience, like, and like, let's just say something bad happened. You could be under your sheets crying for weeks on end, and it could have went over my head, and I'm just going about my day as if it's normal.
Mm-hmm.
But like, we have a completely different perspective of it, and your life feels like it's ruined, and my life hasn't changed at all.
Yeah.
Because how you chose to think about how the action happened.
Yeah. I had a big moment this time last year when I went to Bali. So at the time, I was like, I wasn't in a good spot mentally, mate, and I've spoken about this quite a lot. And basically, we went out there, and I was at that point, I was also working on a mentorship, which I loved, but it was taking up a lot of my energy. I was doing my own thing. Ailey was running her own business, and I had a member of staff in at the time, Josh, and I was just like so stretched, mate. And like, I actually like, really burnt myself out like mentally, like. And basically, long story short, man, like when I went through this, I went out to Bali, and it was actually my gran had passed away in the August, and that's when we decided to go back out there because we were like, we love it out there.
Mm-hmm.
And I went out, and I was basically at the point, mate, like where I wasn't happy in the sense that like my brain was going 100 miles an hour because of all these things that was happening. Like I was burnt out, stretched, had stuff been going on in my life, like. And I went out there, mate, and I was like, I'm not like how I was last time I was out here, like, and it let me really see that and made me feel really uncomfortable. And one of my mates, Damien, that I'd met through a mentorship that I was in, and then I'd never actually met him. He was out there, most chill guy ever. He lives out there now, like permanently.
Mm-hmm.
Lovely guy, like really, really good dude. And I met him, and we caught up, and him and Ailey like hung about, went for some food, went for like a walk and stuff. And afterwards, man, like it was like a full circle moment because he was so chilled, mate. And I'm a chill guy, right? But at that time, my brain was like, I wasn't in a good spot mentally. I was like literally fried, mate. And I got really upset in the scooter, like driving back to the, going for food with Ailey, and I had to just stop at the side of the road. I felt like I was having a panic attack, mate. Because I was like, it wasn't even anything that he particularly said. It was just the fact that he was in the same world as me. He was like, I'd almost been like, I've created a monster here. Like I've like built this life that is actually came, and it's not serving me. Like, and it made me so uncomfortable, man. Like, and I told him this. Like, and it instigated a lot of change. And I actually wrote a letter to myself on that dearfutureme.org at the time.
Love
and I
it.
just got it the other day.
Love it.
It was so interesting, mate. And it was like, I was really struggling at the time, and I was just going through like a bad point. And like obviously Ailey knew, my best mates knew, like everyone. I didn't keep it to myself. Like I was working on it, and I was working through it. But no one would have known me, like, because I was just taking action and figuring it out, and I knew I'd figure it out. But that was the thing at the time, was a big turning point for me, because I actually went, the UK's not for you anymore, mate. And I actually wrote that, like, the UK's not for you anymore, mate. And exactly 1 year to the day was the week that we were all actually packing our stuff up to go away. So like, it's so interesting that those perspectives and those moments, like I could have not went to Bali, I could have not met Damien, I could have not had that feeling, and I can continue tolerating it. I don't think I would have changed something, but it may have continued for a while. But like, as a result of having that different perspective on what I was perceiving at the time, And it wasn't even something they said, it was just like their demeanour. Like what you said there, like someone having that meltdown, but then someone else like, straight over them. And it's so interesting, man, like why you need to be exposing yourself to different people, man, because like you don't grow if you don't.
No, 1,000,000%. And even like you said, like if that's, it just nearly reflects back to going inward sometimes as well. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's very hard to get this across because it took me a long time to be able to do this, and I still struggle with it right now. Is that when I'm going through anything, like you said, that you're nearly having panic attacks and melting down, or anything that's say similar to this, I'm trying to always say, it's like, I know it sounds very black and white, and it's not this easy, but I said to him, this is your choice right now to think about this situation in this manner, and like you're stressing out because of your thoughts and what you're thinking. I've made the book now, is like you're not everything that you think. It's very good, and it's like thoughts and thinking are two different things. Thoughts come in, we're in no control of them, but it's up to you if you want to continue to think about it. Do you know what I mean? And this is I'm gonna sound like an absolute serial killer, but what I do is when these thoughts come in, these negative thoughts, whatever, I can mentally see myself in my mind scrunching the thought up. This is weird. I just came up with this out of nowhere. Just scrunching the
frame, mate, works. The Bible.
Yeah. I scrunch the thought of this thought coming in. I scrunch it all up. It's gonna sound so fucking weird. I throw it. And I don't know how to use this term in Scotland, I volley it as hard as I can, and it's like I mentally see it obliterate.
Yeah.
I don't know where that came from. It works.
Yeah.
It just comes in and like, this does not serve me. You're out. I'm out of here. Do you know what I mean? It's the same as there's a book called The Chimp Paradox. Not sure if you read it.
Yeah.
Same thing. It's like to give your chimp a name that has the negative thoughts and all. And apparently, neuropsychology says that if you be sarcastic with the thoughts that are coming in, apparently it diffuses the thought more. You know, so like for example, it's like, oh, Collie, business is gonna fail, this is gonna happen. I'll call my monkey, let's say John, for example. It's like, shut the fuck up, John. You and me both know this is not gonna happen because I'm gonna boss this.
Yeah.
Apparently, it diffuses a little bit. So interesting, you know.
Yeah. See, like that, those thoughts there. Like I can't remember the guy's name. Something Fitzpatrick, David Fitz. I can't remember. American, like really, really influential guy, great speaker, always wears suits, like proper businessman, and like I can't remember his name, man. Is it Kevin Fitzpatrick or Dave?
Sure, what's the anyway?
Yeah, and he basically spoke about, like, me and my mate Lewis were talking about this, and it was like he's obviously an entrepreneur, and he says like his entire 20s and 30s as an entrepreneur, he was in a contracted state and just letting like his sort of negative emotions like just like they would come in and they would like consume him, and he would still keep persevering through. And he's like, I just don't do it anymore. And I was like, that's total wisdom. Like it takes like this guy's probably in his late 40s, like early 50s. And it was like, if he even gets like a whiff of like a negative thought or it comes in, he just closes it down. And I was like, it must take so long to get to the point where that just becomes so like, and it's not that I don't believe that guy doesn't struggle or like I'm aware, but I know it. See what you said there about the volleying thing, like, cause I'll do that with things, but like, sometimes it's like you can't get rid of it. Like you're just going, oh, like this is, and it will go away, but it's like, this is here longer than I need it to be right now. Like, why is this not? But it's like, and he speaks about that sort of the laws of frequencies, a sort of like contracted, expanded state. And it's like, how do you just be in a total expanded state all the time?
I think this is just my opinion. It's a little bit unfair to feel that any human being can constantly do that, you know, because we are human beings at the end of the day.
We're emotional beings. Yeah.
Tell myself this all the time when I'm being hard on myself or whatever, I feel a certain way. And I used to be, I won't get into like quite cold, like if it's not like who I am now, and a lot of work on myself to get to this point now. And now like I used to get upset when I'm feeling a certain way. I'm like, hold on a second here, I'm a human, man. You know, it's like, it's okay to feel this way. And just accept that. Let it come in. Don't always just push it away all the time, depending on what the situation is. Do you know what I mean? I think too many human beings do that, Kristian. I was just like thinking that it's not okay that I feel this way. No matter what the feeling is, it's okay, because like what you say, 60,000 thoughts a day. Like, what am I supposed to like not accept like any of them? Like, do you know what I mean? Or whatever?
I use the analogy with clients where I'm saying like, we're trying to like give you the tools to be better, perform better, think better. But like you can have an internal toolbox. And I was like, the example I use is an analogy of like, imagine the 60,000 thoughts that are represented by balls, and the negative thoughts, poor self-talk, whatever you want to call it, all the ones that you don't like are represented by red ones. And then the good ones, the positive, the gratitude, the good outlook, the excitement is represented by green balls. Most people's are predominantly red. It's like, how can we make them predominantly green? The reds aren't going away. The reds are going to be there. They are part of life.
And that's been real.
But how can we make the lion's share green? Because you can.
Yeah.
You genuinely can.
Of course.
But you're not going to get rid of the red ones. The red ones are there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Dorian Yates, you obviously know who he is.
Yeah.
Like he has a very interesting concept, very good mindset as well.
He's very spiritual as well,
Yeah,
isn't
he is. He says about obviously negative thoughts. He says your brain is like a bouncer. He says, so you see a guy coming up to the door, he looks like trouble, and you're saying to yourself, right, I can let him in, but you know once you let him in, it's going to be a hard time getting him out.
Yeah.
Now, but it says like if you stop him at the door, he's still going to give you a little bit of friction there and then, but if you turn him away, your life is going to be a lot easier. Your thoughts are the very same. You can see it come in, be aware of it. It's like, is this serving me? Do I need to let this in? Because we're all humans, bro. Like we can go to an extent of you let a thought in, it can spiral.
Yeah.
And you can go in and in and in and in, and like it gets worse and worse. But if you can stop it at the front door and say, hold on a second here, my analogy is just scrunching the fucking thing up and volleying it into space, you know, and it's like whatever works for you. And these are tools that I think all of us can use, you know, and like we have our own Bibles per se. It's like figure out what your passage in your Bible is that helps you get away from these negative thoughts per se.
Yeah, 100%, man. But mate, I think this is a good way to kind of round things off anyway, man.
Absolutely.
Because it's been an awesome episode, mate, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have taken a lot away from this as well. Obviously, yeah, mate, like just to round things off, obviously, guys, if you enjoyed the episode, drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you're watching this on YouTube, please rate us on Spotify as well. Subscribe on YouTube if you haven't done it already. But just before we close things off, mate, like where can everyone find you, Collie?
So my name on Instagram is Collie Mac Resilience, and that's it. That's all I got. Worst online coach ever.
Get him on Instagram, man. If you don't have Instagram, get Instagram. But mate, thanks very much for coming on.
Brother.
That was
an
awesome episode. Really, really enjoyed it, and I took a lot away from it as well.
Me too,
really
from you,
did, man.
brother.
Yeah, man. But mate, thanks very much, man. And I hope you enjoyed, guys. Catch you in a bit.